Greetings, everyone, and welcome to episode 56 of Teaching Tales, the podcast totally devoted to sharing stories from the world of education. As always, I'm your host, Brent Coley, elementary principal in beautiful Southern California. And I say this a lot, but I'm extra excited today about the guest that I've got joining me, Brian Kulak. Brian, how you doing, man?
Hey, Brent, I'm so excited to be here. I'm actually starting to laugh already thinking about what we're going to talk about. So it's going to be great.
Exactly. Yeah, because as we'll get into a little bit, we're going to talk about some funny things, humor in education today. But before we get into that, for anyone who is not yet a follower on Twitter or not yet connected with you, who is Brian?
So my name is Brian Kulak, and I am in my 20th year in education. The first 15, I was a high school English and journalism teacher at my alma mater in New Jersey. And now I am a K-5 principal, also in New Jersey. This association started because of Brent and I being part of the EduMatch family. And we're both really excited to be part of that. But we were talking about themes, and we were talking about things that, we think are funny in education. And then we were talking about how I taught seniors almost exclusively. So my funny stories are a little bit different maybe than a K-5 funny story, but nonetheless, here we go.
But nonetheless, they're going to be funny. Yeah. I mean, for anyone listening who has spent 10 days in education, at least, I mean, whether 20 years or 20 days, kids say things, kids do things that just make you laugh. And sometimes the hardest thing is not laughing when they say something, because it would encourage the behavior or something like that. So
yeah.
But I know when we were voxing on the side before we were recording, you said that you've got some doozies. So I pass the baton to you. Share a story with us that's going to make us laugh or find some humor in.
So I taught Othello, my favorite play, and because Shakespeare is difficult for anybody, and especially first semester seniors who are already on the way to checking out for the year. So what we did every year was they had to do a video of their own, set to some sort of theme or based on a show or a movie or whatever, and then they would present it to me, and then if it were of high quality, we would present it to the class. So one day I'm just kind of playing in my front room with my dog, and my wife calls up. She's like, "Brian, you know these kids?" So I look out the window, a big picture window, and I see these 4 idiots running around the street in front of my house dressed in bizarre costumes. And one has this makeshift crown on, and he's supposed to be Othello, and they're conducting this whole scene right in front of my house. And then they conduct a sword fight right in front of my house. These 4 high school seniors on a regular October or November day are literally sword fighting in my front yard. And so then they see me seeing it. So they slowly pan the camera up and zoom in on me without me knowing. It's I don't know I'm on camera. So then when they submitted it and I saw myself, I looked, if you think about it, it looks like a guy staring out the window creepily at these kids on his lawn. But I'll tell you, kids coming to my house was an uncomfortable theme because I only lived a town or two away from the 2 places I've taught. So I don't know how they knew where I lived. I mean, I guess it wasn't very hard to figure out, or they saw me. And here Othello was playing itself out on my front lawn for me, my wife, and my dog to see. It was so funny, Brent. I still have it. I still have a picture with the kids. But again, before we went on air, we were talking about our relationship with the kids and knowing that they could do something like that without me getting upset. You pick the wrong person to do that, and that's not going to go well. But look, they're doing what I asked. They were having fun with it, and the video was good. They knew it. They'll never forget Othello based on the fact that they could do this silly video, and part of which just happened to be my front lawn with its again, not something that's going to happen in K-5, but it was a really funny memory. Those guys were fun. Yeah.
The fact that you can look at it 2 ways. It's the fact that they came to your house, like you said, be like, oh no, now they know where I live.
Yeah.
But spinning it the other way, it's you obviously made a great connection with them, because there's no way they would have, like you said, they wouldn't try that with a student they hated, with a teacher they hated.
Right. And it is a fine line because I don't want them. We're not hanging out. Like, we're not friends. And this is the whole thing when you teach, older kids.
Yeah.
And I made that pretty clear. And again, I started when I was 22. So my seniors were 18, and one of them was my brother. He eventually went to a different class because it was weird. But so there was a lot of that going on in my early part of my career. When I was a little older, I was still a bachelor. I lived in a town a couple towns away, and it was a little Cape Cod. In the back of the house, it's pretty quiet. So I was in the back of the house one night. I was watching the Flyers, or watching a hockey game, and a couple minutes later, I hear something out front, but nothing to make me get up. But then I hear it again, and so I make my way to the front of the house. It's vacant out there. There's nobody there. But I look at my lawn, and there's like stuff all over my lawn. And I go out there, and these kids had forked my lawn, and they I forget what they spelled. Like, we were the green wave, so maybe it said wave or something. It wasn't inappropriate, but it was like this huge undertaking, and ended up being a bunch of baseball players that I coached. Again, I don't know how they knew where I lived because it wasn't in the same town. They thought it was funny, and the next day of practice, I had to pretend I was upset, but realized, like, all right, it's funny. It was harmless. And part of these experiments and these stories are trying to figure out, is this, like you just mentioned, is this harmful? Are they trying to make a point? Is this inappropriate? And some of the people who are listening might say, this, I would call my superintendent immediately, but like, it just wasn't that way in the school that I taught. Again, it was my alma mater, so a lot of us knew each other, or, I coached their brothers or their family. And but so then the forking experience became sort of lore at Audubon because they got away with it, and there's nothing I could do except to clean it up the next Saturday morning before baseball practice. But that was another one that was funny.
Yeah, that's once again almost like that was a sign of affection, endearment.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. Well, I think they could have done a lot. They could have soaped your lawn.
Yeah, it could have been worse. You're right. I never felt victim to the mischief night stuff. Thank goodness. Maybe you're right. Maybe that does say something.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so I was thinking about, like, so what, again, having spent all of my career in the lower grades, I was thinking, like, what are some of the funny things? I mean, that show, Kids Say the Darndest Thing.
Yeah, right.
And I've jotted down those over the years. So I pulled those out. Like, what are some of the funny things that they've said? And I just pulled up some of the ones where it's like the things that you hear now that I'm in a site administration role, the things that I hear just walking by groups of classes. Or, I mean, one day I'm walking by the health office and I hear one of the radios. I hear somebody ask a student, "So did you really stick a bead up your nose? Or is that just a booger?"
Oh, no.
It's one of those, whoa. And for the record, it was a bead and not a booger. But
what is it with kids putting stuff up? I don't like, my son is 5 and he did it for a while. I'm like, dude, what do you think is going to happen? Like, what's on the back end of this experience? I don't really understand what they think is going to happen.
Well, unfortunately, I have personal experience with that. I stuck something up my nose when I was in first grade. So this is not necessarily the teaching tale I was going to, but let's go with it, okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I can laugh at it now, and my parents can laugh at it now. But when I was in first grade, I vividly remember it. I'm sitting on the carpet in my classroom, and there was a popcorn kernel sitting. I don't know what popcorn kernel was doing on the floor, but it was. And I picked it up and proceeded to stick it in my nose. Why? I don't know. And as a 6-year-old, how do you get something out of your nose that you've just stuck up there? Well, you stick your finger up to try to get it out, and in doing so, unwittingly,
it's probably not going to work, man.
Push it farther up. And I remember that night after dinner telling my mom, I have something up my nose. And she said, "Oh." We went to the doctor the next morning. Fortunately, the doctor did not use his finger to try to get it out, used some sort of medical apparatus, clamps or whatever, and was able to get it out. And looking back, popcorn kernel was not the same size that it was. The heat in my nose had...
You got to be kidding me.
It had started to... so I think back, it's like, that sucker could have popped.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. So for anyone listening do not stick popcorn kernels up your nose because it could end badly. Fortunately for me, it did not end. It did not end badly, but that's one of the things that I overheard. I mean, some of the other ones, it's like one of the things I love is a message over the radio to the custodian said, "Yeah, we're going to need a plunger in room 604." And I'm thinking, I don't think
It's not a bathroom.
That's not a bathroom.
Yeah.
Like, okay. But I really love the ones because I'm 47.
Right.
Kids ask you how old you are.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, you're K5 principal now too. I don't know if you ever gotten that question. Like,
Absolutely.
And I always come back with, how old do you think I am? Which is, I want to play that game. And gosh, I've gotten answers from 22 to 72.
Nice.
It's not even close. And I remember one second grader one day just walks by and just out of the blue, he just looks just in a look of awe and says, like, I can't believe, Mr. Coley, I can't believe my grandma's older than you.
Oh.
And then just continues to walk away.
Walk away, yeah. Thanks. Well, there's an honesty at the kids. Like, so one of my third graders told his teacher that he was going to get me black shoes for Christmas because I wear brown shoes every day. Now, what third grader is looking at my feet every day and then has compiled the data to suggest I need black shoes and then tell his teacher that I indeed need black shoes? Or I wear glasses most of the time, and one day I went down the cafeteria without my glasses, and you would think I had been zombified, and kids were aghast, like, what happened to you? I'm like, what do you mean? Where's your glasses? I'm like, I don't know. I'm good. Yeah, but your face looks weird. Okay. Yeah. Okay. But again, K5, or like, I got my haircut. Why you got your haircut? Looks weird. I shaved my beard recently, and they couldn't figure out what was different about my face, but they didn't like it. And they didn't have a problem telling me that I look weird without a beard. So I'm like, look, that's fine. I hear you. You can say these things, and I love it. But for sure, those kids, like, again, say the darndest things. There's no filter, and that's kind of what I love about every day you show up as a K5 principal. And for all the stuff that could go on, there's all these little nuggets that we're talking about now, or I'll show my own kids or my wife, and it just makes us laugh. It makes it so fun to be a K5 principal.
Absolutely, yeah. The honesty, the brutal.
Yeah,
like a pimple or a cold sore or something like, dude, what's wrong with your face?
What's wrong with your face? I get that all the time. Yeah, my face must not be pleasant to look at, man. I gotta work on that.
I had the opposite glasses effect once, where I normally wear contacts, wore glasses at home, and once I came in my glasses, and yeah, you would have just thought that, where's Mr. Coley? I mean,
yeah.
They just, it's like my dad had a mustache my entire life growing up, and he shaved.
Right. Oh, that's a game changer for sure.
Where's my dad? What'd you do with my dad?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I had a kindergarten student once where I'm doing just walking through the classroom, and the student walks up and says, "Hi, what's your name?" And I said, "I'm Mr. Coley. I'm the principal." And she says, "Oh, principal, that means you're really old." And again, turns on her heel and walks away.
Yeah. Hey, have you ever done anything with like a prank with a coworker or a colleague? Have you ever kind of gone down that road?
I did that once when I was teaching 5th grade. Colleague was next door teaching 6th grade, and I don't know if this is the prank that you're thinking of, but like we pranked our kids.
Okay.
Where it was April Fool's,
right?
And when the bell rang in the morning, I went to her class, and she went to my class.
Okay.
And basically just told the kids, like, boys and girls, we got to switch. Principal she's got some changes she wants to make, and she wasn't ready to wait till the new school year. So I'm your new teacher. So let's go. So, and we just went with it for like 15 minutes. And at first they're like, and then they're just looking back and forth at each, like, and we waited until they finally had kind of, okay. Like, and they were just like, April Fools, and then we
too cool for school. So my first year, I was before I became K5 principal, I was chief academic officer in the same district. So some schools call it director of curriculum instruction, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
My office was in the middle school, despite being a district position. And, I was really interested in making as many connections and developing relationships as I could. So trying to figure out everybody's personality. I was stopping on every class and, started to learn. And there was a math teacher, a sixth grade math teacher, very talented math teacher who was a prankster. And I forget something happened and she got me good. I mean, this is my first year. I'm talking maybe 3 or 4 months into my tenure. And I before we got on, I texted a buddy to see if he could remember because he was in on the we're about to talk about. But we kissed. I made some sort of mistake, and she came to me and had these faux tears. And I can't believe that you did. But I forget what it was. It was something I don't remember what it was. So my friend Windsor and I conspired. So he's the HIB coordinator for the district. So we created a fake HIB complaint from staff to staff against her. And it was very meticulously written out. It was the exact same paper and then we presented it to her and said, we need to meet. So he's in my office and with me, and she comes in and she has the letter in her hand and she goes berserk. I mean, she's like, my husband is a lawyer. You can't do this to me. I already told the union this will be the last thing you've ever done. And then she kind of stormed out. So I look at him and he's a rule follower, man. I mean, he's an HIB guy, right? So he's a rule follower. He's sweating. He's like, oh my God. I'm like, dude, she's on to us, man. She knows what she's doing. So I don't think so, man. I've never seen her that mad. I'm like, Windsor, I'm telling you, watch. And let me tell you, Erica, her name is Erica. She sold it for, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes. She must have just been in the hallway. And then she came back in. She goes, hi, boys. And she starts waving the letter. And I was like, I knew it. My hands were coming up. And I was like, I knew you. But it was such, I was out of my league, man. She was a prankster and I thought I had her and she got me back. And we still talk about, I won't even go near, I won't look at her the wrong way because she's way too smart, man. But I think, again, she got me. And instead of, doing the sort of, I don't know, power grabbing administrator thing and puff my chest out, I was like, okay, you got me, but I'm going to get you back. Well, I didn't get her back. And I think since then, she and I have had a really good relationship because she knows I'm terrified of her now because I can't beat her. She's brilliant. So that was a fun, even though it's at my own expense, which I find a lot of the humor in my career has been. Yep. It was worth it for sure. Yeah.
We do, I don't know if we do a weekly Friday flag assembly.
Okay.
So and the principal who was there at the school before me, he would do a joke. Like kind of, we do awards and things like that and student recognition, and he would finish every assembly with a joke. So I kind of carried on that tradition, and it's so cool because the kids love it. It's like and I try to pull the dad jokes out and just the
sure, yeah.
I mean, and my son, who is now an 8th grader, is like the perfect source of those jokes. I have students submit jokes as well, so it's great.
Okay.
This week's joke is from a 3rd grader in Mrs. Smith's class.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
But jokes like, how does a penguin build its house? It glues it together.
See, it's brilliant. I love it.
my favorite of all time is what did Batman say to Robin before he got in the car?
I don't know.
The car.
See, I don't want to laugh at that, but I have to.
It's so dumb. It
is very dumb.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
But
I have a kindergartner who does that. He calls me. His name's Fry. Every day he calls me over for the joke of the day, and sometimes he tries to make them up, and they make no sense. I have no idea what he's talking about. But at the end, he will use voice inflection to alert me that this, in fact, is the punchline. Mm-hmm. I have to do my best dad principle. Oh my gosh, that's so funny, Fry. And there's food. It's always at lunch. There's food flying out of his mouth. He's smacking himself in the knee. He's got a little gathering now. So when he does his little joke of the day, 5 or 6 kids come over, and then they all want to tell me a joke. And invariably, it's all just a variation of whatever he said. So if it's a chicken crossed the road, I have to listen to 5 or 6 different animals crossing the same road for pretty much the same reason. And we all laugh, and the kids, I'm telling you, the kids love it. His dad actually reached out and said, Brian, I don't know how you put up with his joke of the day because he does it at home, but he loves it. He talks about it every day. And so if I miss a day, he's on me. And again, what better way to start my lunch every single day, my lunch duty every day, I go down there every day, than with a joke from Fry, my little 5-year-old who thinks he's the funniest thing in the world. So all these things, again, just kind of mesh into what is so important, so powerful about leadership and about being around kids and being able to laugh. Actually, before we started, you and I were talking about laughter, and there are people who just don't, and I just don't understand how you go throughout your day without it. I mean, one time, even if you concoct something, even if you're not that funny, which I'm not suggesting that I am, but if you go through a whole day without laughing or seeing a kid laugh or making a kid laugh, my goodness, that would be a bummer for me, man. I wouldn't be able to do it.
It's it's too hard a job. It's too hard. Teaching's too hard a job. Being instructor-related, it's whatever your role. It's too hard of a job. Life is too hard without laughter. And going back to Fry and his daily jokes, I would be shocked. I would put money on the fact that 20 years from now, that's what he's going to remember.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like, oh, I remember not that he won't remember what his teachers taught him, but those are the things that the parents are hearing at night, that he's going home. I made my teacher laugh. I told him a joke and he spit food out because or he went and told.
And you're so right, Brent, because in preparation for this, I know we both wrote a bunch of stuff down, but I actually put a Facebook post out because I have so many former students now in 20 years. And I said, just tell me something funny that you remember. And all this started rolling in, and it was such a great walk down memory lane. And I told you before we started, a lot of them wouldn't make it to air because some of them just aren't that appropriate for your show. But one girl, Megan, who actually just wrote for me for my blog, all she said was there ever a day that went by that we didn't laugh in your class? And I was like, oh, you're the best. That was the kindest. Mm-hmm. It wasn't specific. It had nothing to do with anything that she experienced directly, but she's right. I mean, I forget so much of why we laughed or how we laughed. I know I'm very self-effacing as it is. And so I think that's a really good source of laughter if kids know they can play with you and mock you. And I don't have any ego by that way. And I think it's good that way. But to hear kids just say, look, we always did. That was just kind of what we did. I know, like I'm sure they did for you and continue to. They look forward to school. And that's something that's huge. A lot of that has to do with smiling and laughing for sure.
Yeah. School, it has to be fun. It has to be fun. Learning and fun are not mutually exclusive.
No, they're not.
It shouldn't be. And that blog post, by the way, by Megan was outstanding.
Yeah, that was good. That was a good one. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'll tell her you said that. Yeah,
that was very good. Well, look, I'm going to wrap up with one more kids say the darndest thing.
Sure.
Because this was like my favorite. After school, because every day you're out there at the lunch duty. Every day I'm out after school supervising dismissal in the drop off loop, and student comes up and I said, "Hey, bud, how was your day?" And he says, "Mr. Coley, I had a really good day at school today." But then he pauses for a second. He kind of grimaces. He says, "But I was really gassy." And then he just walks away.
There you go again. Just walks away.
Thank TMI, but thank
you for the upper GI update.
Yep, I appreciate it. Why don't you move away? Because if you're still gassy,
gosh, that's great, man.
Why don't you go sit over there? But didn't say that. But it's like stuff like that. It's like we have the greatest job in the world. I mean, teachers, again, aides, cafeteria. I mean, working with kids, it keeps you young. I don't work as young as, but at least I feel young and stuff like that.
You're right. I do. You're right. Yeah.
It totally keeps us young. Well, thank you, Brian. This was an awesome time to chuckle. And I think the message again, every episode, it's like, well, so what's the takeaway from this for anyone listening? It's like, smile more. It's a great reminder to smile more. It's okay to make your kids laugh. It's okay to crack jokes because, as I firmly believe, and I know you do too, this is what they're going to remember. I mean, I write the book that I'm writing coming out in a couple. This is a whole chapter that I've written about. I so firmly believe that they're not. Will they hopefully remember how to read and write?
Of course, right.
But that's like you said. You put out on Facebook, "Hey, what do you remember?" I did the same thing, kind of researching one of my chapters. What do you remember? And not a single one of them, not a single one of the comments from former students had anything to do with curriculum.
Right.
Not a single one.
Nor should it. I mean, again, you can remember. Again, those Othello kids are going to remember Othello. I think that's great, but I hate to say this because it sounds so counterintuitive. I don't really care if they remember the third act. I want them to remember being excited coming in and knowing that they're going to laugh and they're going to have an audience and that they had somebody that really believed in them. All the things that you and I believe so strongly in, and especially the people that we surround ourselves in education. Laughter or not, those kids again are not going to forget the experience that we shared. We didn't create the experience for them because they were there, but we shared that experience, and it's never going to go away.
Yeah. And again, the disclaimer: it's like pedagogy is important. Curriculum. I mean, you have to be a good teacher. You have to have instructional strategies, but having that with no affect, having smile with no laughter, you're not going to connect as much with the kids as you will if you have both. And we can have both. So awesome. Well, Brian, for anyone listening who wants to connect, and I know that you have written a book that is coming out very soon.
Yeah, my book, Level Up Leadership, Advance Your EduGame, is coming out January 21st. It's going to be available for pre-sale on Kindle probably Monday. And in the book, I sort of analogize the evolution of the gaming industry to the evolution of the educational field. So I'm super proud of it. I'm super excited to be part of the EduMatch family, as are you. My blog, leveluplead.com, also has garnered some interest, and what we were just talking about with Megan, every other Friday or so I do a former student Friday, and so just like we talked about here for about a half hour, students kind of just write about things they remember or things that touch them or where they are now. So as a way to just kind of expand on and illustrate the importance of connections. I'm at leveluplead at gmail.com and on Twitter at bkulak11. So just hit me up and let's talk.
Yeah. And for anyone listening, Brian's blog is outstanding. He frequently blogs, and I've told you this on the side. I mean, it's very conversational, it's real. It's awesome. So
thanks, man. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Really love the Perfect Strangers one too.
That's funny. Thanks.
Balky, which the actor, I don't remember his name, but the guy who plays Balky, for anyone listening to the show Perfect Strangers, he does audible readings now.
Bronson Pinchot.
Bronson Pinchot. He narrated 2 books that I have listened to, and until your blog post came out, I had forgotten that, but he was the narrator for two books that I had read.
It's so funny. He did Perfect Strangers. Then he was in True Romance, which was an amazing movie. And then that was pretty much it. I didn't really hear much more from him, but
he's like a voiceover or an audible narrator. Anyway, guys and gals, if you're listening, check out Brian's blog, connect with him on Twitter. And I'm looking forward to reading the book when it comes out. Brian, so thanks for taking the time, man. Totally appreciate the laughs, the humor. And look forward to reading.
Thank you, Brent.
Yeah, absolutely. And for everyone listening, thank you for listening. If you haven't done so already, remember, you can listen in iTunes, Google Play, or on Spotify. If you haven't already done so, subscribe. If you like what you hear, drop a review. I would appreciate it. Again, as I said before, it's not about ego. It's not about something like that. But if you get a review, it helps the listener. It helps get the word out for the podcast so that hopefully we can reach more listeners. So as always, thanks for listening. And until next time, have a good one.